Assalamu alaikum girls. Today we are going to have an introduction of the course content, which includes a few poems, almost 12 poems, as well as the correction of errors from the grammar side, correction of errors, comprehension, and précis writing. We are going to begin with the poetry section first. The first poem that is included in our course outline is Leisure. And before that, before we begin reciting the poem, the course objectives say that if you have read the course objectives, or you can read those course objectives now, where it is clearly stated that on the purpose of this course is to help the students recite poetry well. Number 2, critically analyze the poems. Number 3, explains the lines from the poems with reference to the context. And number 4, also understand the poetic devices. So these are the 4 objectives that we are going to focus in our reading of poetry. The first poem is Leisure, and I hope you have studied this poem in first year also. The poem is by William Davies, who is a modern poet, considered a modern poet. And as the title indicates, leisure, which means a time of relaxation. The poem, if you read the poem, it traces the importance of leisure. Leisure means a time of relaxation, a period of rest, a period of a break from a routine, from a tough schedule. So leisure is a time when one can refresh and reinvigorate the energies. As the poem reads, "What is this life if full of care? We have no time to stand and stare." The poem opens with a question. What is this life if full of care? We have no time to stand and stare. No time to stand beneath the boughs and stare as long as sheep or cows. No time to see when woods we pass, where squirrels hide their nuts in grass. No time to see in broad daylight streams full of stars like skies at night. No time to turn at beauty's glance and watch her feet, how they can dance. No time to wait till her mouth can enrich that smile her eyes began. A poor life this, if, full of care, we have no time to stand and stare. So the question that the poet asks in the opening verse is, what is this life if full of care? We have no time to stand and stare. The answer is given at the end of the poem. And the poet himself calls this a poor life, this if full of care. Care means worries, problems, tensions, stress. So the poet says that this life, if it is full of care and there is no time to stand and stare, means to have some leisure, to have some moment of relaxation when we can spend some time with ourselves, with nature. So he calls this life a poor life. Poor life means insignificant, meaningless, purposeless, dull, boring life. If the modern man. And kindly, girls, please remember this is a modern poem, and modern means 20th century poem, 20th century onwards. And modern means the poet is writing in the context of the modern world, which is also called the machine age, where the human beings are often compared with robots who are running to achieve their targets, non-stop, hectic struggle. So these are the modern poets who remind the modern man to take a break in order to reconnect themselves with the real sources of energy. And those real sources they locate in the world of nature. What is this life if full of care? We have no time to stand and stare. Stand and stare means have a time of relaxation, have a time of contemplation, rest, to watch, observe, enjoy the scenery around, the people around, or maybe just spend time with ourselves and engage in self reflection. Self reflection means अपने बारे में सोचना, अपने अपने अपनी प्रायोरिटीज़, अपनी विशेस, डिज़ायर्स, थॉट्स, आइडियाज़, इनके बारे में सोचना खामोशी से अपने साथ बैठ के, अपनी पसंद की रीडिंग करना, अपनी पसंद की एक्टिविटीज़, हॉबीज़ में एंगेज होना। तो अगर मॉडर्न मैन के पास ये टाइम ही नहीं है और वो अपनी मॉडर्न परसूट्स में, मॉडर्न लाइफ की चैलेंजेस में, या आप समझें कि रिक्वायरमेंट्स में इतना बिजी है कि एक के बाद एक ही हैज़ टू फॉलो द रूटीन। तो इस लाइफ को पोइट हैज़ क्वेश्चनड। ही सेज, नो टाइम टू स्टैंड बीनीथ द बाउस एंड स्टेयर एज लॉन्ग एज शीप और काउस. So sheep and cows is imagery taken from nature, and as you know that as we analyze the poem, we have to number one learn to recite the poetry, number two critically analyze the poetry, number three we have to explain the lines with reference to the context, and foremost important is also the knowledge about the poetic devices. Poetic devices are, you must be familiar with some of the devices such as similes. Similes means comparison with the use of as or like. Metaphor. Metaphor is also a form of comparison without the use of as and like. Personification, imagery. At the moment, we have this imagery from nature. At the moment, we have the imagery of sheep and cows as they are moving across the meadows, grazing the fields in a very leisurely, slow manner. So the modern man does not have time to observe the cows and sheep, because modern man is all the time chasing some targets, some hectic routine, some schedule that he has to follow. No time to see when woods we pass. So woods, you see, are the forests, as well as woods are the metaphors. Metaphor means symbolic of life as well. Woods means life, human life, where there are trees and there is rich growth. Every type of birds, animals may be present in the woods. There are dark, old, ancient trees as well. So when modern man passes, I just request you girls to remember the key word in modern poetry is modern. Modern begins with M, and M I usually use as a reminder to myself, and I would request you also to take it as a reminder that M stands for materialism. M stands for money. First and foremost, what is materialism? Lust for money, lust for power, for success, for popularity. So these are the 3-4 keywords. Modern. Modern reminds us of M. M means lust for money, power, success, popularity, and all this comes to the same thing, being materialistic. Modern man is materialistic. And when we say materialism, materialism means modern man is worried about material. Material means solid things, things that are visible, that he can see. The body, the body and the related comforts, the luxuries that the modern man seeks. So, when you are discussing poetry, you should use the word modern man. You cannot use I, we, you have to use the third person, that is modern man. So, modern man has no time to see and appreciate the beauty in the woods as he passes. These woods could be the literal woods, and the beauty and the glory and the grandeur of nature, the bountifulness of nature. Modern man simply is unaware of how to appreciate nature, how to observe and appreciate. ठीक है, पहले हम ऑब्जर्व करते हैं, फिर हम अप्रिशिएट करते हैं. तो ना हमें ऑब्जर्व करने के लिए हम इंटरेस्टेड हैं, ना ही हम अप्रिशिएट करना चाहते हैं. Where squirrels hide their nuts in grass, and it's such a beautiful exercise, such an eye-catching and interesting activity that the squirrels are hiding their nuts in the grass. But modern man is not interested in observing that splendid natural phenomena of how squirrels are moving around with quick speed in the forests. Next line, no time to see in broad daylight, streams full of stars, like skies at night. So modern man has no time to see the streams full of stars. Now you see there is a contrasting image. Broad daylight and stars are the opposites. In the daylight, there can't be the stars. Stars appear only in the night. So when the poet has used this comparison, in broad daylight, streams full of stars, the image is of the sunlight. The sun shining and the sunlight reflecting in the water makes the whole scene look like the sky has come down on earth and the streams are full of stars. Like skies at night, you have to circle like wherever there is. For example, in the first stanza, there was and stare as long as sheep or cows. You have to circle as. As means simile. Sheep or cows have been used as a comparison that the sheep and cow walk lazily, and modern man has simply become incapable or unwilling. Modern man is unwilling to take life easy. The message is taking life easy, taking life at its own pace. And the next that was an example of imagery, that was an example of a simile also. The second example is of a simile. Another simile is streams full of stars like skies at night, and this simile is used, the comparison has been made between stars at night with a scene that is happening during the broad daylight, that is the use of similes. And this beauty of nature, these marvelous scenes in nature, modern man simply misses. Why? Because he has no time to see. No time to turn at beauty's glance and watch her feet how they can dance. Beauty, you see, in these verses has been written with capital B, it has been personified. So we have so far traced 2-3 poetic devices that the writer has used in it. Simile, the two types of similes, and then there is personification, in which beauty has been compared with a dancing girl. Watch her feet, how they can dance. Beauty is an image, it's an abstract idea, and the writer has personified the idea of beauty as a girl who is dancing, who and dance, you should remember, girls, kindly circle dance, and remember that dance means a moment of harmony, balance, where body and soul become one. There is no clash, no conflict between the bodily needs and the claims of the mind. Dance is one such perfect moment when heart and soul, body and mind are all one and they move together. So, this is the beauty idea of beauty. In the next line, the poet says again, and there you see repetition. Third device you can see. First device is simile, use of simile, then metaphor. Number 3 is personification, and there comes repetition. You should also notice repetition is also a poetic device, and the writer is repeating. No time to wait till her mouth can enrich that smile, her eyes began. And these lines can be connected with the previous lines where the beauty is dancing, where beauty, the concept of beauty, is dancing like a beautiful girl. And the modern man has still no time to see how her mouth can enrich. Enrich means make it beautiful, make it even more beautiful, even richer. How her mouth becomes rich when she smiles, and a smile that is reflected in her eyes also, in the dancing girl's eyes also. And this dancing girl is the idea of beauty. A poor life this, if, and the writer has given the answer. The question the writer has asked in the opening lines has been answered in the closing lines. He says, the writer's name is William Davis. William Davis says, it's a poor life, this, if full of care. We have no time to stand and stare. So this is a poor life means this is a worthless life. This is a meaningless life. This life is worthless. What makes life worthless, meaningless? It's the absence of a solid goal in life. It's the absence of of an ability to appreciate ourselves, appreciate life as such, human life, our own lives, and that modern man can do only when they are at one with themselves, when they know that that their priorities should be right, that we have no time to stand and stare, when they know that they have time to stand and observe. Stare means observe the beauties of nature. So the poem should remind us of Wordsworth. It does remind us of Wordsworth, who is called the poet of nature, and poet of being the poet of nature, Wordsworth's theory and all the romantics. Wordsworth is an important romantic poet. Early 19th century, girls, kindly note, Wordsworth romantic movement is traced back in early 19th century. And this is the time when there was this industrial revolution going on. We are talking about 19th century industrial revolution, machine age, the beginning of machine age, and people like Wordsworth, they were warning the people, warning the people about the dangers of becoming too involved in the world of machines and becoming absolutely disconnected with ourselves. तो आप बच्चों ने ये बात याद रखनी है कि एक अच्छी लाइफ गुजारने के लिए इंसान को सबसे पहले अपने आप के साथ कनेक्शन रखना चाहिए। सबसे पहले आपको अपने आप को ऑनर करना है, अपनी नीड्स को देखना है, अपनी रिक्वायरमेंट्स को देखना है कि आपको क्या चीज़ कैसे अपने आप के हक़ में बेहतर लगती है, कैसे आपने अपना टाइम अच्छे से गुजारना है, अच्छी रूटीन बनानी है, हेल्दी फूड खानी है, हेल्दी सोचनी है। सेकंड लेवल पे एक अच्छी लाइफ का मतलब है कि आपको इर्द गिर्द के लोगों के साथ अच्छा कनेक्शन बनाना है, अच्छी बात उनके साथ करनी है, लव का मैसेज है, ट्रूथ का मैसेज है। सारा लिटरेचर, सारी पोइट्री हमें लव और ट्रूथ सिखाती है। क्यों? क्योंकि लव और ट्रूथ से हम अल्लाह पाक के साथ अपना एक बेहतर कनेक्शन बना सकते हैं। एंड दैट कैन हैपन ओनली व्हेन वी आर अवेयर, कॉन्शियस। हमें कॉन्शियसनेस होनी चाहिए, अवेयरनेस होनी चाहिए, नॉलेज होनी चाहिए कि जब हम अपने आप के साथ सिंसियर होते हैं, और सिंसेरिटी का मतलब ये है ऑलवेज चूजिंग टू डू द राइट थिंग, और जब हम अपने आप के साथ सिंसियर होते हैं तो हम अपने इर्द गिर्द के लोगों के साथ भी सिंसियर होते हैं। और उस सिंसेरिटी से ये होता है कि जैसे हदीस मुबारक है, रसूल पाक सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम ने फरमाया कि मोमिन वो है जो दूसरे के लिए भी वही पसंद करे जो अपने लिए पसंद करता है। तो जब हम दूसरों के लिए भी अच्छा सोचते हैं तो उससे हमारा ताल्लुक़ अपने आप के साथ, अपने अल्लाह पाक के साथ, दूसरों के साथ बेहतरीन होता है। और इसके अलावा नेचर लाइफ इन ऑल फॉर्म्स नीड्स टू बी ऑनर्ड एंड रिस्पेक्टेड। ज़िंदगी जिस सूरत में भी मौजूद है, चाहे वो एनिमल्स हैं, चाहे वो इंसेक्ट्स हैं, और चाहे वो दूसरे इंसान हैं, हर हाल में नेचुरल वर्ल्ड में बर्ड्स हैं, ट्रीज़ हैं, फ्लावर्स हैं, क्लाउड्स हैं, एवरीथिंग इन नेचर रिमाइंड्स अस दैट वी नीड टू बी रूटेड मीन्स कनेक्टेड। अपने आप को हम रूटेड रखें, अपने आप को हम अपनी असल के साथ, अपनी रूह के साथ जोड़ के रखें। ये नहीं हो कि हमारी रूह जो है वो परेशान रहे और हम अपनी एक वर्ल्डली परसूट्स, वर्ल्डली डिज़ायर्स के पीछे भागते रहें। तो इस तरह से एक अच्छी मीनिंगफुल ज़िंदगी गुजारने के लिए हमें ये सारी चीज़ों का नॉलेज होनी चाहिए, इदराक होना चाहिए। उर्दू में कहते हैं इदराक होना चाहिए। अब विलियम डेविस जो है, ही वॉज बॉर्न इन 1871 एंड ही डाइड इन 1940। ही इज़ अ मॉडर्न पोएट and you have to, girls, you have to, first things first, you have to analyze the title. So first of all, every poem will be discussed with reference to the title. और इसमें क्वेश्चंस हैं पोएम के एंड में। व्हाट आर सम ऑफ द सिंपल डिलाइट्स वी मिस इन आवर रश्ड लाइफ। रश्ड लाइफ क्या है? मॉडर्न लाइफ, जिसमें एवरीबडी इज़ इन अ रश। What are some of the things you miss because of lack of time? All these are interrelated, interconnected questions. The poet has used a personification. Can you point it out? Personification, abhi humne padha, beauty. Beauty has been personified as a beautiful dancing girl. How would you define a personification? Personification means attributing the qualities of living beings to non living ideas, abstract ideas. Like beauty is an abstract idea, but because it has been compared with a girl who is dancing, so the attributes of a dancing girl have been given to the girl. Personification की एग्जैक्ट डेफिनेशन इधर भी हो सकती है, इन पे भी बुक के. I have this book with me, a new anthology of English verse, जो पंजाब यूनिवर्सिटी के कोर्स में होती थी. It was compiled and edited by कनीज़ असलम, शोएब बिन हसन. द कैरावन बुक हाउस की ये बुक है. इस बुक के एंड में द इम्पॉर्टेंट थिंग इज़ दैट इन द एंड ऑफ द बुक आपको वो मिल जाती हैं पोएटिक डिवाइसेस की छोटी छोटी डेफिनेशंस. But these definitions you can look up at Google too. If you can get hold of this book, well and good. But otherwise you can find the definitions on Google. इसमें ये poetic device